comparing speeds and prices. So we're going to look at some speeds and some prices and using ratios to help us figure out how they compare. So our two statements for today we need to get down. I understand that if two ratios have the same rate per 1, they are equivalent ratios. When measurements are expressed in different units, I can decide who is traveling faster or which item is a better deal by comparing the how much for 1 of the same unit. So get down today's ICANNs, your date, and your page number, and you're all set to go on. All right, let's do a little bit of looking at the closest quotient on each of these. So taking a look at each one, and the first one here, is it going to be closer to 1/2, 1, or 1 1/2? Well, 20 divided by 18, which of those is it closest to? Yeah, it should be closest to 1, right? Because 18 is nearly 20. 20 divided by 20 would be 1 whole, so this would be closest to 1. What about 9 divided by 20? Yeah, that would probably be closer to 1/2 because 9 is almost 10. 10 divided by 20 would get you 1/2, but 9 divided by 20 would be really close to 1/2. What about 7 divided by 5? Yeah, this would probably be closest to the 1 1/2. Obviously not exact, but you could look at this as, 5 is really close to 4, 7 is really close to 8. That would give you almost 2, or that would give you 2, but since they're both, one is 1 less and the other is 1 more, probably going to be closer to 1 1/2. If it was something where both of these were 6, then 6 divided by 6 would be obviously 1. But it's kind of in between both of those. So for me, that's just kind of how I look at it, because otherwise it would be, 7/5 and give you 1 2/5. 2/5 isn't too far from 2/4, which would be 1/2. So always handy to be able to estimate close numbers. And even in what we're looking at today, we may end up using that more often than not. So back to more treadmill questions here. So some students did treadmill workouts, each one running at a constant speed. And I want you to answer each of the questions down below, explaining what's going on. All right, so we have Tyler running 4,200 meters in 30 minutes. We have Kieran running 6,300 meters in a half hour. And Mai ran 6 3/10 kilometers in 45 minutes. What is the same about the workouts done by Tyler and Kieran? Well, it's actually the same time, right? Because a half hour is the same as 30 minutes. What about Kieran and Mai? Well, Kieran and Mai actually go the same distance because 6,300 meters is equivalent to 6 3/10 kilometers. Remember that there's 1,000 meters for every kilometer. What about Mai and Tyler? This one you had to think a little bit more about. This isn't one that you can just look at quickly here. So you need to find something that's the same about all of them. Well, this one is in 45 minutes. This one's in 30. This says 4,200 meters. This says 6 3/10 kilometers, which is the same as 6,300 kilometers, or meters. So we have 6 3/10 kilometers per 45 minutes here. Whereas here we've got 4,200 or 4 2/10 kilometers for 30 minutes. Okay. Well, this would be about finding a ratio that works for both of them in both situations, something that you could divide both of them down into. If I divide both of these parts by 2, I can get this down to 2 1/10. 2 1/10 kilometers per, let's see, 30 divided by 2 is 15 for every 15 minutes. Should be able to do the same here. That should get us close down to that. Let's see. 45. We can divide that by what? 3, and that would give us 15, wouldn't it? And 6 3/10 divided by 3. Hey, that's 2 1/10 as well. So actually, Maya and Tyler run the same speed. And what rate did each one of them run? Well, if you want to look at it as kilometers per hour, we'd have to multiply 15 by what? Yeah, 4. So I'd have to multiply each of these by 4. So Tyler and Mai both ran 8 4/10 kilometers in 1 hour. Kieran, on the other hand, if this is 30 minutes, we'd have to double it. So that would be, let's see, 12 6/10 kilometers per hour. Again, if we convert the meters into kilometers, just makes it similar. So Tyler and May actually ran the same amount of, or same rate, whereas Kieran ran further in the same amount of time. How far did May go in the first 30 minutes on our treadmill? Again, we need to go back and look at this conversion here. So if it was 15 minutes was 2 1/10, she actually has the same rate as Tyler. So she ran 4 2/10 kilometers in her first 30 minutes. So again, when you're looking at these, it's not so much, don't let it overwhelm you with all the parts that are there. Look at the pieces and just look at the pieces as they go through to help you understand. So the same thing happens when you're talking about prices on things. Let's roll some beautiful bean footage here. All right. So we got 4 different stores posting ads about a special on 15-ounce cans of baked beans. We got 1 for $8 for $6, 10 for $10, 2 for $3, and 80 cents each. Which one's offering the best deal? Okay, so what you should have done was to try and figure out a unit price for each of these. Well, this one's already at 80. We don't have to figure that one out. This one right now is 2 for $3. So if we take the 2 for $3 and break it down, we need to find out how much 1 can is. Well, 1 can is going to give us, let's see, take 2, divide it by 2 to get it down to that 1. And we take the $3, and since we divide that by 2, we divide this by 2, and that would actually give us $1.50. All right. What about up here? We have 8 cans for $6. Well, we could reduce that down a bit because both of those are even numbers. We can divide them both by 2. And what will we get? Yeah, 4 for $3. Okay, getting closer, but we're still not quite where we need to be. Let's see, how many times can 4 go into $3? We need to divide that. Well, 3 divided by 4 is 3/4, or actually it would end up being 75 cents. All right, that's a little hard to read. Let me write it in a little different spot. So this one actually divides out to be 75 cents. Over here, 10 for $10. I hope you figured out pretty quick that that was actually $1. So the best deal, the store that's selling it for $6. I think you could kind of see that it was going to be one of the better ones without doing too much, couldn't you? Because when I look at this and I see 2 for $3, but here I see it's 8 for $6. And if I've got more that I'm buying for less money as compared to fewer for more money, then it's probably going to come out, since they're all the same, that this one's going to be less than this one. And this, just by looking at it, should be less than the one to the right here, because this is a 10 for $10. The only one that really makes it tricky is, how does this compare to the 80 cents each? Well, and for that, you about have to just straight up find what that individual rate is. Last store listed is also selling a 28-ounce can for $1.40 each. How does that compare to the other prices? Well, the other cans are all 15 ounces, right? Well, we need to find out what the per ounce rate is here, right? If we have 28 for $1.40, then we have to find out how much 1 ounce would cost. So we take the 28 and we, oops, blast it. This $1.40, we have to take it down as much as we possibly can. Well, actually, I can divide both of these by 14, can't I? Let's see, if I divide both of these by 14, it's going to give you 1/10, right? Or 10 cents. 28 divided by 14 gives you 2. Almost there, right? I'm going to divide both those by 2 again, so that gives me a 1 for 5 cents. So 1 ounce for 5 cents. Can we figure out what the individual, like how that compares to the 15 ounces? Yeah, hang on. Poof, I'm back. So what I need to do is, each of these were 15 ounces per price, because that was the price for 1 can. Well, I've got to just make this into 15. 1 times 15 is 15. And 5 times 15 is, 75 cents. So actually, if you wanted to get the same deal as this store, which has the best deal, at this store, you'd have to buy a 28-ounce can to get the same level of price deal. And that's what, and I think I've talked about this before, that when you buy in larger bulk items, you have to be careful with paying attention to those per ounce or per unit prices to really find the best deal for yourself. So a lot of times when you're talking about these as kind of a wrap up, you want to find that one in some place, or at least something that has an equivalent to. When we were looking at the beans ones, we originally were looking at trying to find out what each can of beans cost, whereas back with the treadmills, we were trying to find something with the same time rate. So even though we didn't necessarily get to 1, we did get something to close. All right, so I think we're all set for today. Have a good one.